Welcome to the sixth and final stage of the 2020 Saskatchewan Winter Race Series, brought to you by Paul Cutting and the HPL cycling team. My name is Regan Arenzi and I'll be your host this evening. A huge thanks to our sponsors, Dutch Cycles, Western Cycles, Bike Doctor, and Bruce's Cycle Works for sponsoring the preceding stages of the Saskatchewan Winter Race Series. Today's stage is hosted in Paris on the infamous Champs-Élysées. This iconic route has been the final stage of the Tour de France since 1975 and is usually the domain of the sprinters. We anticipate that today's stage will be no different and expect to see some awesome sprinting efforts from the sprint powerhouses such as Ed Dulsner and Thierry Lazarow, known for their enormous kick in the sprint. However, in the past 45 years of the Tour de France, this stage has been won on just 3 occasions by a breakaway. So with great time trialists in the field such as Mike Gavalis and Brian Zukalski, there's a good chance today of a solo win in the closing kilometers. We have at least 44 competitors today, and they are lined up adjacent to the rotunda just west of the Place de la Concorde. These riders have joined from as far afield as Fredericton, New Brunswick in the east and Victoria, British Columbia in the west. It is exactly 10 a.m. Central Time and the race has just begun. This is a mass start and the riders have exploded from their starting blocks. They immediately encounter the cobbled section of the Champs-Élysées, and those with smart trainers will be able to appreciate the rumble of the road surface. The riders immediately head due east to the Place de la Concorde. Ahead you can see the obelisk of Luxor beckoning them to the Jardin de la Tuileries. Paul Cutting is the ride leader, and his position in the race is denoted by the luminescent beacon that extends into the bright Parisian sky. As the riders wind their way through the garden, they negotiate a short ramp down and back up again under the Jardin des Tuileries. These short, steep climbs will undoubtedly take the toll of the riders' legs over the next 4 laps. We watch as they skirt the northern borders of the Jardin des Tuileries. Let's take a moment to identify the riders in the lead group. I can see Jason Thomas, Blair Drader, Alex Rybak, Mike Gavalis, Brian Zukalski, Ron McKechnie, Dave Bitchie of Victoria, Ed Dulsner, Wyatt Kuntz, Bob Holtzman, Kim McKechnie, Will Kennedy, Jason Bergen, John Michael On of Fredericton, Kelly Kudrick, Scott Theed, Christian Tan, Jason Horner, Jaden Hansen, and Jeff Hine. The obelisk of Luxor once again looms large in the background. The loop around the garden is just a portion of the 3.2 kilometer lead-in that will take the riders to the start-finish arch and to begin the first of 4 official laps of the 6.6 kilometer circuit. Once under the start-finish arch, the riders head west up a long drag that is the Monte des Champs-Élysées. This is a 1.3 kilometer climb up to the Arc de Triomphe, which may be seen in the distance. With just a 30-meter gain in elevation, it is not a steep climb, but this is where we can expect attacks from those riders going for a solo victory. A number of riders are sporting Christmas jerseys today to mark this special time of the year. Ed Dulsner has chosen a Tron bike for the course. The Tron bike takes its unofficial name from the animation movie Tron and is one of the fastest bikes on a flat circuit, such as this, the Champs-Élysées. The only faster bike setup is a carbon bike with a solid disc wheel, such as that used by Blair Drader, who is the current favorite to take the title for the Saskatchewan Winter Race Series. As the riders make their way up to the Arc de Triomphe, it is worthwhile noting that this monument honors the many soldiers that have sacrificed their lives fighting for France in the French Revolutionary and the Napoleonic Wars. The riders then circle the Arc de Triomphe before heading east along the Champs-Élysées to the Place de la Concorde in the east. The cobbles are unrelenting and make for heavy going for the riders. This significantly reduces the chances of a successful breakaway on this circuit. The long cobble drag to the Arc de Triomphe has taken its toll on the lead group, and we see the formation of the first effective chase group. This group includes Brian Zukalski, Kelly Kudrick, Jason Horner, and Scott Theed. They are followed closely by William Kennedy, Christian Tan, and Jason Tomaz, who are just visible in the distance. The next formal group includes the powerhouses of Bob Holtzman, Bryce Sebastian, Barry Otterson, Paul Cutting, Alan Sales, Terry Lazaro, Kim McKechnie, Jeff Hine, Lawrence Angelot, and Christian Tan. Regan Arenzi, Anna Valenta, Jeff Lisholm, Paul Uogo, Orisha Boychuk, Susan Meyer, and Tim Huber chase either individually or in pairs. Bruce Holliday follows a group containing Ryan Bates, Susan Drader, Braden White, Larry McCommon, Shane McKechnie, Ian Loughran, Jeff Cutting, and Casey Smith. Oh no, disaster strikes as it is evident that Jeff Hine has a technical problem and has ground to a complete halt. We certainly hope that he will be able to overcome his technical issues and rejoin the race. This chasing group has caught up with Jonathan Baxter, and he has sought refuge in this small peloton. Casey Smith now tries to make a break from the group, but is easily reeled in by a very comfortable-looking Larry McCommon. Brian Cohen is in no man's land just between the Cutting brothers, just behind the group containing Paul Cutting and ahead of the group containing Jeff Cutting. Brian will maintain this position to comfortably complete the race. We rejoin the race at the halfway point, and the largest group in the race has grown to 12 riders. The riders in this group appear very closely matched, and they are cautiously watching each other for the telltale signs of a breakaway attempt. It is clear that this group has the ingredients to make for an exciting sprint finale. Jason Bergen has managed to separate himself from the peloton and has built up a 10-second advantage over this 12-man group. We rejoin the lead group on their last lap. The group has been whittled down to Blair Drader, John Michael On, Ed Dilsner, Jaden Hansen, Rob McKechnie, Dave Bitchie, Mike Gavalis, Alex Ryback, and Wyatt Kuntz. Group is currently on the long 1.3 kilometer drag up to the Arc de Triomphe. This is the site favored for breakaway attempts. As we scan the lead group, it is evident that many power-ups are being used and deployed as the long ride begins to take its toll on the riders' heavy legs. Blair Drader is the first in the lead group to make a move by generating a blistering 9.4 watts per kilogram just before the Lutece sprint on the steepest section of the Monte des Champs-Élysées. This move is quickly countered by Jaden Hansen with a 9.7 watts per kilogram response. Wyatt Kuntz has also responded with an 8.7 watts per kilogram response. John Michael On is third to respond with an 8.6 watts per kilogram response. While these responses are good, they are just not sustained. In contrast, Blair Drader continues to produce huge sustained power outputs that has allowed him to quickly open up a gap of 11 seconds on his closest competitors. This move on the Arc de Triomphe marks a triumphant moment for Blair Drader, who will go on to win the stage by 7 seconds over the second place rider. The breakaway by Blair Drader has led to the formation of a new chase group. This group contains Mike Gavalis, John Michael On, Dave Bitchie, Wyatt Kuntz, and Jaden Hansen. This group would also have an exciting drag race to the finish, with Jaden Hansen claiming second place by a single second over Wyatt Kuntz. Mike Gavalis finished fourth, just 3 seconds back and 1 second ahead with John Michael on. We now rejoin the 12-man group with at least 2,200 meters to go. It is clear that this will be a huge sprint finish, and the riders in this group are closely matched in their abilities. With just 200 meters to go, William Kennedy is the first to make a move with a 7.4 watts per kilogram effort. This allows him to move ahead of Jason Horner, Bob Holtzman, and Brian Zukalski in that order. With 100 meters to go, Kim McKechnie and Scott Theed have ramped up their sprints with 6.1 watt per kilogram efforts. Scott Theed then ramps up his sprint effort to 8.9 watts per kilogram to match that of William Kennedy's 8.6 watts per kilogram. Bob Holtzman then kicks up to 9.4 watts per kilogram, but he is not able to match the 9.8 watts per kilogram from Scott Theed. Holtzman then edges up to 10.2 watts per kilogram sprint. But once again, he's not a match for the 12.2 watts per kilogram effort from Scott Theed. This sees Scott Theed finish just inches ahead of Bob Holtzman and third place Jason Horner. Will Kennedy and Kim McKechnie finish in a dead heat. And with that, we have a thrilling bunch sprint to finish the final stage of the Saskatchewan Winter Race Series. For the official race results, please visit HPL Cycling's website. Once again, a huge thanks to Paul Cutting for arranging this amazing race series, and many thanks to all the sponsors for their generous support. Until the next race series, cheers from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.